time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Maturepreneur Podcast. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jeanette Anderson, and I'm here today with the fabulous Dave Finnigan. As you know, maturepreneurs come in all shapes, sizes, and genders, and so we love to have people who are up to some cool stuff. And what I was referred to, Dave, by someone who neither of us can remember right now, but who really highly recommended him for the social impact that he was having and the good work that he's doing. So that's why I wanted you to be here, Dave. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So you know how this goes. I will read you his official bio. Then we're going to find out the juicy tidbits behind the scenes and a little bit about his why he does what he does. And then we're going to dive into talking about Green Actions and his new organization. Well, not that new now, but Green Actioneers and what he's excited about creating in the world. So here we go. Dave Finnigan, MPH, worked from 1966 to 76, helping design and implement the national family planning programs in Korea and Taiwan that dropped the average family size from 6 children to under 2 in a generation. Next, Dave created a one-day instructional program for schools, Juggling for Success, personally teaching recreational juggling to over 1 million students. This is a lot of impact. I love it as he juggles scarves. And personally teachers and parents in 2,000 schools in 46 states. Recently, Dave developed and tested his one-day Green Actioneers program in 26 schools in 6 states. Green Actioneers activity book and website are designed to provide the roadmap on their own or together with Dave's one-day school program delivered by a trained presenter or teacher. So you have been teaching and helping kids, especially either directly or indirectly, for a very long time in your life.
Yeah, that's what I do. I go school to school. We have a formula that works. We did it with our first program, which was a Juggling for Success program. And with that program, we went to over 2,000 schools in 46 states, and I trained over 50 jugglers who wanted to work in schools, and they went all over not only the US, but 6 other countries besides.
Wow.
And so that was a very successful program. I wrote a little book called The Joy of Juggling.
Yeah.
And this is way before the internet. This is 1976. And over the next 30 years, I sold over 1 million copies of this book in German, French, Italian, Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, and of course, English.
Wow.
And then I wrote the big book on juggling, The Complete Juggler, and went around and taught with that as well. And the book has lots of line art, over 1,000 pictures in here that were drawn by a great artist. And so these books started the juggling movement of the 1970s through 2000, when everybody got addicted to a different kind of activity. Instead of juggling, they started doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of using their big motor skills, they use their small motor skills.
Yeah, exactly. Their thumbs instead of their...
Juggling is not as powerful as it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yes, absolutely. Because, that would require kids to move and actually do something besides be on their phones. So tell me, well, now I can't really say just kids because I spend quite a bit of time on my own phone. So tell me a little bit about your why, Dave. Why do you do what you do?
When I was at Cornell in the I hate to say it, 50s and 60s, when I was an undergraduate, I was studying anthropology, but I was really focused on culture change. How does a culture change? And so then when I got the opportunity, I went to South Korea. And for a year, I was an unpaid intern with the Korean Family Planning Program. And they used me in a wonderful way. I would sit with the highest level members of the family planning program, the government people and the university people, and they would give me their information in broken English, and I'd put it in good English. And then they would go to WHO conferences and UNICEF conferences and make presentations. And they liked me because I didn't ask to put my name on the paper. And so
Uh,
they would publish the paper, and then it would be Jae Mo Young or it would be Suk Bang, and that was who wrote the paper. And they didn't mention this ghostwriter. All I was doing was helping to put it into good English. So at the end of my year of internship, they said, we'd like to hire you. And they got in touch with Population Council in New York, and Population Council paid me a real salary to stay and work first in Korea, then in Taiwan, then in the Philippines, and I had side jobs in Thailand, Indonesia, Nepal, and Turkey as a consultant, helping them all to create a program that really changed the culture. And the reason it changed the culture is we didn't start at the top, we started at the bottom.
Mm. So that's amazing, and I want to talk a little bit about your body of work as well, and how do you change a culture? But what got you so passionate about all this? Because that's what you did, but why? Why did you do all that? Why
Well,
did you change the culture?
with the population issue, I was terrified because we were about to have 3 billion people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken some demography courses, but I'll tell you what really turned me on is when I was a kid, I kept mice,
Mm-hmm.
white mice. And I saw what happened when the population overran their little boxes that I kept them in. They turned into cannibals. And
Mm-hmm.
I went, oh my goodness, when you get population density that's too high, and when you don't have ways for people to recreate or to get out of there, then they go nuts. And I thought, wow, 3 billion people, this planet can't support 4, 5, and 6 billion. I've got to do something about it. So it was a sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and after having done that for more than 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I, I bumped into a fella walking across the campus at the University of Washington. And he was performing, he was a juggler. Now, I knew that I couldn't return to the third world and continue to do family planning because I had a son who at that point was just 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a single parent. And my son had severe cerebral palsy. So I said, okay, I've got to do something where I can stay in the US. I wonder what I can do. Could I turn that little act that that guy is doing into a movement? And I did. So I
Okay.
was so proud of myself because I said to him, could you teach me how to do that? And he said, I'm not allowed to. And I said, why not? He said, I was taught by a magician. And the magician said, I'm not allowed to teach anybody. So I watched him for a while and I said, I see what you're doing. You're making infinity signs over and over again in the air with an object. And then you're just adding more objects to that pathway. And he said, don't tell anybody. And I said, no, I'm going to tell everybody. And that's when I wrote The Joy of Juggling. And
Nice.
at that point, it was the only juggling book out there. And then Juggling for the Complete Klutz came out the next year. And so between Juggling for the Complete Klutz, The Joy of Juggling, and my other books, we created a worldwide recreational juggling movement that persists to this day.
That's amazing. Okay, so these are some pretty impactful things that you've done that have really literally changed cultures, changed and impacted the world. And what I'm hearing is that you ask really powerful questions. So, can I turn this act into a movement? Is not a typical question most people would ask themselves when looking at a juggler. How did you come to think so big?
Well, I've always felt that things start at the bottom and work their way to the top.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm a little bit irritated at the way that this whole approach to climate change has tried to start at the top and somehow impinge itself on people at the bottom.
Mm,
So we've had 28 COPs, Congress of Parties, international meetings that have talked about what business, industry, and government should be doing. But they haven't focused on where the change really takes place, which is household to household. And the model we used in Korea when we went around and talked to people about family planning was pretty simple. That was, we only talked to women, and we only talked to women of childbearing age who didn't yet have 4 or 5 kids. And when I say we, I mean one person from outside the country and 2,300 field workers who were all young women in that demographic.
mm,
And those women went door to door in every village in Korea and Taiwan and Thailand and Indonesia. They went door to door with a simple message. The message was, girls are as good as boys. 2 are enough. Space them well and get a good education for your kids.
mm.
And that changed the culture because the women said to their husbands, hey, sweetheart, we're just going to have 2. And we're going to space them well. And I don't care if it's a girl or a boy. That really ran against the culture, but it worked. And so then when I wanted to teach juggling, I knew the best way to do it was to get out there to the elementary schools, teach the kids how to do it. The kids would teach their parents, the parents would get excited, everybody would learn to do it. And it worked. So
Mm.
now I'm doing the same thing with education about going green. Our book, The Green Actioneers Family Action Guide, doesn't even mention climate change, global warming, or sea level rise. Al Gore did not write the introduction, and there are no dead polar bears anywhere in the book. The
Okay.
whole idea is to make it fun so that kids will go home and go, Mom, let's get the book out. Let's do something, Mom. And
Yeah.
so then for a motivator, just like in the juggling program, I told the school, when the kids learn to juggle 3 nylon scarves, and they can do that, then as soon as they get that under control, allow them to put a Post-it note out in the hallway on a chart.
Okay.
And then when they can do 3 balls, let them move up or put up another Post-it note. If they can do 3 rings or 3 clubs. And so that was a big motor for the program, and schools went nuts over it. And those charts on the wall are still up in some schools, and the kids loved it. They loved seeing their name go up the chart and helping their friends to go up the chart too. So
Okay.
that was a big deal. And so what I'm doing now is going to be a big deal too, which is we're going to put a chart on the wall in the school that
Mhm,
says our green actions across the top.
mhm.
And then every time any kid, any family takes a green action, then they can put up a Post-it note. So let's see, here's Fran Coe, and she took a family bike ride, and that gets her up on the chart. Well, that's kind of cool. What else? Oh, here she is again. She shifted her lawn, her family shifted their lawn to a pollinator garden.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
this is not much effort. That's a lot of effort. And they each get a Post-it note. So
Wow.
that means that kids who can't put solar panels on the roof or drive an electric car, they can still do things and they can still get their name up on the chart on the wall. So the chart doesn't discriminate against somebody because they don't have resources. It actually allows them to get a lot of stuff up there. Like if you live in an apartment building and
Mm,
you walk instead of taking the elevator, you
mm.
get to put a Post-it note up here.
Okay.
So the kids are going to get really excited about it. And I expect that schools all over the country are going to have charts like this on the wall. And everybody will go out there and go, wow, that's so cool. It's like a Boy Scouts merit badge sash or a Girl Scouts merit badge
Yeah.
sash, where with the merit badge sash, you only get to see it
Yes.
maybe once a month when you have a meeting. But this is up there every day. And so that's the motivator to get the kids to take action.
I really love and appreciate your passion for all of this. I'm willing to bet you were passionate about each of these causes that you really got involved with. So passion is obviously a spark that ignites you. And then one of the things that I'm kind of noticing as you talk is that you enroll people both with your passion and with making things fun and accessible.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm breaking this down so that those of our listeners who are in business or are starting a business, these are some of the components that will help you with growing that business. So, one, you got to have passion. You got to be willing to share that passion, like Dave is doing right now. Two, you got to enroll people and get their engagement in a way that fits for them. And typically, certainly for you with the kids, that means fun. Most people really love enrolling in something that they believe in and care about and that's fun and not too hard, so accessible. And then you provide lots of recognition and opportunities to celebrate. So you give them a concrete way to be recognized for their
Yeah.
accomplishment, which is again, whether it's with our team, our staff or clients, recognizing that accomplishment is very important. So those sound like some of the ways that you've been successful at creating programs that really work. What are some of the other keys to your success in shifting a culture or in getting something to take off?
Well, I think it's important to engage the whole family. If you just get mom involved or just get dad involved, it's not as effective. So what we've done with the Green Actioneers program, which is our school-based program, is we start by going into the school and getting the kids excited about the book. So somebody takes books in and shows them to the kids. And the reason they like the book is because the book has things that are fun for kids. It has a little bit of art that they could color with probably colored pencils would work
Mhm.
best.
Yeah,
Uh, and then there's a quote from somebody famous or infamous. Well,
yeah,
in this case, it's Daryl Hannah. So they could research who is Daryl Hannah and what else has she done.
yeah.
Uh, on this side, it's English and Spanish. And
Okay,
then it's got a game or a puzzle that they can then solve based on the English above. So
okay.
for the kids, it's a lot of fun. And the most fun, and I thought it was for the kids, but it's really for everybody, is we've got these two little characters, can do and can't do. And can do and can't do have come to the earth from Muga. And Muga is make our universe green again. And they are in every picture, and you got to find them.
Okay.
So the kids and the grown-ups love to go through and find can do and can't do. But another thing that I've done is
Yeah.
at the end of the book, because we talk about all the things you can do. There's 100 actions you can do to save energy, save water, save money, and have a clean, green future. But at the end of the book, we meet a Native American family.
Uh-huh.
They live in a community, a sub-community in this larger community. Uh, and their sub-community guards the water that runs through the town. It originates up in their little neck of the woods. And then they guard that water and they make sure that the water is clean as it runs through the town. So you can actually eat the fish that you catch in the river,
Mm,
which is unique
yeah.
these days. So that's the story. And I think the story is endearing enough that the kids are going to go, Mom, let's read some more pages in the book.
Yeah.
Because the story is a story about a whole community that grabs a hold of the idea of going green, and everybody goes green. And it's all done in a very non-threatening way. It's just fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, while we're talking about the book, how do people get that or find that if they want to get it for their family or their school?
Yeah, if they go to the website, they can download a free copy, a digital copy. So go to the website. There's a way to enter your information, and then you get a digital copy of the book. It's greenactioneers.com. And your spell check will probably want you to do something else.
Yeah.
They don't know the word actioneers yet, but they will. So at a certain point, Green Actioneers will be recognized by spell check everywhere.
That's a great goal. I love how big you think. It's like not only am I creating a word that, I want people to know, but I want it to be so popular that spell check has it as their root. Like that's big thinking. So were you always a big thinker? Like even when you were young?
I've never thought small, and it's gotten me in trouble because I'm usually ahead of the curve and on the tip of the wave. And so quite often I've fallen off and gotten in trouble. But as far as I'm concerned, when you see a problem and you know the solution, your job is to get to work on the solution, not to wallow in despair.
Right.
And that's why this approach is completely different from the hair on fire approach that we've seen so far. There's so many people running around going, uh, here's how bad it's going to be if we do everything wrong.
Mhm.
And what I say is, here's how great it can be when we do everything right.
Yes.
It's totally a mind shift.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very difficult for me to work with some organizations where they have that previous
Mhm.
thought pattern
Yep.
because they don't understand that maybe if we had started 20 years ago or 30 years ago working from a positive point of view, we would have gotten a lot farther than we have by shaming and blaming.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's true of solving most problems, because focusing on the problem simply gets you more of the problem. So I really love that positive framing. Tell me, Dave, what are some of the other aspects of changing a culture? So what are some of the things you've learned over the various projects you've done about how to create actual change?
Yeah, the first thing is uh, political leaders don't actually lead. Political leaders wait until they see where people are going, then they jump in front and go, follow me. And so our job is to make sure that at the village level,
Mhm.
people are making changes and that the political leaders can see these changes taking place, that they can see that people are doing the things that are in the book, the 100 steps in the book. Uh, and especially that by the time that kids get to high school, they're really ready to learn about the problem. They've learned about the solutions. Now it's time to learn about the problem. We put the cart before the horse by saying to the kids, here's how bad it's going to be when we do everything wrong when they're in kindergarten through sixth, seventh, or eighth grade. What we have to talk to them about is here's how to be a good, clean, green citizen.
Mhm.
And then later on, when they're in high school, maybe they can learn about how bad it would be if we didn't do this. Uh, Many states now have recognized that and have said, okay, we're not going to talk about climate change with elementary school kids. We're not going to talk about it till middle school or high school. And I don't blame them because there's an awful lot of fear that gets generated by that. This isn't a political issue. This is kids need to learn the positive side of things before they learn the negative side, I think. And so that's why we need to start at the family level. And once all the families are on board, then the companies and the government are going to change because moms and dads work in companies and they work in the government and they'll go to their job and they'll say, well, you know, at home we put solar panels on the roof. We only drive electric. We took out our lawn and put in a pollinator garden. We aren't doing those kinds of wasteful things that we used to do. So what about here at this business? Let's pay attention to that as well. I think we would get a lot farther if we started at the bottom and worked up and put that together with what's happening now coming from the top down. Those two have to meet in the middle.
Okay, so it's great advice. And if you're thinking of creating change, and so in a business, kind of conversation or starting a business, is getting a base of people who know, like, trust you, buy your product, service, whatever that may be, and having them be the ones who create the example and the shifts that whatever problem you're solving, have them become the poster children for that shift or that cause or that solution. Um, what do you do, or how are you so successful at enrolling people in your vision? Because you've moved mountains, you've moved governments, you've moved, you know, people who are entrenched in an old way of doing things. How do you enroll them?
Well, that's a great question. And the way that I've done it is most recently by going to the state PTA conventions, to the National Montessori School Convention, to the National School Librarians Convention,
Mhm.
and asking people to fill out a little form. And the form has on it the things that we need to know: their name, their position or job title, their organization, their address, their email, their phone number, and then how many students are in your school, and then how interested are you in this program? Please circle a number from 0 to 10.
Mhm.
Tens are going to get my immediate attention. So
Yeah.
I've been to California, Texas, and Florida PTA conventions, and
Mhm.
to the National Montessori Schools Convention, and the
Mhm.
National Librarians Convention. And I've got about 500 of these. Now, I've been hanging on to them and haven't yet built the database, but that's happening right now because now's the time to launch. If I launched with only 10 people, it wouldn't be a launch. It
Mhm.
would just be a test. But now it's time to launch. I've got 500 of these, and it's time to get them into a database, go on Constant Contact, and start telling people about the program and getting them to get involved. And getting involved is not expensive. All it requires is a green-hearted mom. Usually it's a mom because I'm going to PTA conventions,
Mhm.
uh, and librarians. So mostly I've been talking to women, and I think they're the ones who are going to make the change. But we got to get the men out of the way. It's like we did in Korea with our family planning program. Just tell the men to go do something for a while. We're going to solve this problem. And so all the moms are going to get enrolled. Now, here's how it works in the school. They start by getting one copy of the book and taking it to the principal and the teachers and showing it to them and saying, what do you think? Could we do a program?
Mhm.
Well, then if they say yes, then you get a box of 15 books because they come in boxes of 15. And you go classroom to classroom with that box and you show it to the kids and give them a half hour and have them sit in groups of 2 or 3 and go through the book together and talk to each other about it. And then ask them, what did you find in the book? Why is the book important? What do you think we can do with this book? So the kids are generating the answers. Then, after the kids have seen the book, you schedule family night. And family night is not combined with anything else. It's not like come have pizza and then we're going to have family night, or let's combine it with STEM night, or something else. It's like Scholastic books, but
Mhm.
with one book. So we have a Scholastic Books night with one book. And the kids drag their parents kicking and screaming to school. As they come into the space, every family gets handed a book.
Mhm.
And then they go sit down with the book, and the kids show the parents what they found in the book. Then the person on stage, we call that person Professor Green, and it could be me, or it could be you, or it could be anybody.
Mhm.
That person says, okay, I'm going to go around the room now, and I'm going to point at you. And when I point at you, I want you to jump up and tell us what you found in the book. So
Mhm.
the first kid jumps up and says, okay, I found recycle. Great. Everybody who can do that, jump up and shout, I can do that too.
Mhm.
Great. Okay. I found defrost the freezer.
Mhm.
Everybody who can do that, jump up and shout, I can do that too. Well, pretty soon the kids are just jumping up. Run the ceiling fans, not the air conditioner. Keep house plants. Filter your own water. Skip the elevator. All sorts of things. And the kids just jump up and go, I can do that too. Pretty soon some of the grown-ups start jumping up and shouting, I can do that too. Like it's when it's trade in your gasoline lawnmower for an electric, all the dads jump up and shout, I can do that too. So then Professor Green says, okay, we've done 62 of these things, or whatever the number is. It gets huge because you can't stop them. They're having so much fun. And
Yeah.
they don't repeat. What surprises me is they don't repeat.
Yeah.
Each kid comes up with something new. So Professor Green says, okay, kids, you've done a great job. Don't forget those things you're going to do. Grown-ups, if you want to be on the green team for the school, raise your hand. Well, then in a typical school, maybe 20 hands will go in the air. Okay, if your hand's in the air, stand up.
Mhm.
If you're standing, come to the front of the room. Put your arms around each other's shoulders and take a bow. Principal, take a picture. This is your green team.
All
So
right.
in 1 or 2 days, we've gone from nobody knows about going green to all the kids know about it. The teachers know about it, the parents know about it, and we have a green team. And now that all happens because of that one green-hearted parent who decides they're going to start the program.
I love it. There's so many pieces of this because as you're talking, I of course am thinking about okay, and how do I apply this in business? How do I apply it right now? I'm working on growing the Maturepreneur Network, which is a community and an educational platform for older entrepreneurs, and I'm really looking at how do you grow a community quickly. So this is very timely and very much appreciated. And so some of what I heard in this is that to engage to build quickly, part of what you did is you started with an individual point of entry. You didn't try and go broad. You had one person that introduced you or that you've pursued, and then you went wider from there, currently wider. So a lot of people try in their marketing to try and be all things to all people. Really, what you do is you start with one, I call it the thin edge of the wedge, the really that first person to get your foot in the door. And then you do some brilliant polling along the way to determine their interest as you go. And you get feedback from your stakeholders. You get information from them about how could this work for you? What's in it for you to do this? And you really research the what's in it for them because you're asking them along the way, well, why would this be valuable to you? How could this be important in the schools, in the library, in the family unit? And then you create an event that enrolls people, and now you've got your advocates, the kids who are interested to bring in other people. So it's a referral program that you've set up, and really kind of a joint venture partnership because you've gotten your teachers engaged and so forth. So you've got people who are advocating for you. You do an event where you have them share publicly and increase the level of risk in terms of the sharing and the involvement very strategically. So you start with having them do something in a small group and then share in the bigger group and then expand and expand into the leadership roles and have them come and step up and take on leadership. So this is a brilliant process that you've created. And obviously your enthusiasm is contagious, and that's part of what supports it and rippling out, and it's an important thing, an important topic to as well. So I love that. Is there anything else that I've kind of missed in terms of how you grow the influence and the program and the success
Yeah,
of
yeah. There's another element that follows now. So everybody goes home with a digital copy of the book for free. We'll give it to them for free. If they want to buy a print book, they can. The books are going to cost them $20 each,
Mhm,
and the school gets to keep 5 because they buy them in boxes of 15 for $225 each. So the school is going to make a little money on it.
mhm.
But the next step is the most important step. And if we leave it out, the program's going to flop. And that is the chart on the wall. That the green team that we impaneled at family night
Mhm,
is in charge of the chart on the wall.
mhm,
And so the next day, they go out and they build something that looks like this.
mhm.
And it's really important that every teacher have a different color post-it note.
Uh,
So Miss Jones can walk out in the hall and she can look at the wall and she can say, you guys are doing such a great job. I got so many pink post-it notes up there. And so that puts the teacher into the mix. And
mhm,
then the teachers will be competing with each other to see who can get their kids to do the most work. The kids will be competing with each other to see who can get the most post-it notes up. And the parents will be going like, wow, this is really working. We're saving money, we're saving water, we're saving energy, and we know that we're much more environmentally sound than we were a year ago. So
mhm.
the idea is to get everybody involved by having a carrot for
Yeah,
everybody. And there's no stick, it's just carrots.
yeah.
So people really love to see their name up on the wall. And teachers really love it when their kids excel another classroom. So that's how it's gonna roll out. Now, I say it's gonna do this, although it hasn't yet happened. And the reason it hasn't happened is I have not yet found that one school that says, yes, not only do we want to be the school where it started, but we will let you video and share the video. And
Mm,
that's because I've been working with public schools up till now. I think that if we go to a Montessori school or a private school, that we'll find a school where they say, yeah, sure, we'd love to be known as the school where it started.
Right.
Come on in. And in that case, I'll hire a video crew and we'll go in, we'll shoot a first class video and really make it into something that can go worldwide. I don't see this as being restricted to the United States.
Mhm.
We've already got this book in English and Spanish.
Mhm.
So it immediately is applicable throughout the Americas, except in Brazil. I've got people who are interested in this all around the world
Mhm.
and who want to translate it into their language as well. Certainly for Canada, it should be English and French.
Mhm.
And immediately, we've got people in South Asia and Africa who want to have it in their language plus English.
Mhm.
So I see this as the seed for a worldwide movement. And because I'm 82 years old,
Mhm.
uh, I probably won't see the end of it, but I'm really pleased that I get to see the beginning of it. And I want to be known in the future as the guy who started the Green Actioneers movement, just like we all know that Lord Baden-Powell started scouting.
Mhm.
This is an important thing, and I'm going to stick with it as long as I possibly can. I'll put in another decade or so, and then I'll find something else to do.
Oh, Dave, I love that, and I love that that is a more and more common thing. I asked a lady the other day, she wanted to start a social enterprise about suicide prevention, and she's 68. And so I said to her, well, it takes a few years to grow a business and an organization. How long do you want to do this? And she said, I only want to go hard for, and in my mind, I filled in 2 or 3 years because we're all subject to ageism. And I haven't shifted my thinking, even though I work with people every day like you who say what you just said. And she said, I really only want to go hard for another decade and then I'll slow down a little bit, but not a lot. So
Yeah.
she only wanted to go hard until she was 78. Then maybe she'd slow down a little bit. And I love that you said, I'll do this for another decade. So I'll be 92 and then I'll start on the next thing.
Well,
It's,
I've been lucky because I did juggle in front of kids in schools for 30 years.
yeah.
And that kept me firm and strengthened in my upper
Yeah.
body. And now I'm a swing dancer. And
Okay.
people know me in the Orlando area. Oh, he's that old guy who comes to every dance.
Uh,
Uh, and I think it's so important to
yeah.
stay physically active. And because my wife is a Filipina, I eat really well.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think that those two things, plus I sleep like a baby, I think those are the things that help you to stay young. And I
Yeah.
keep a positive mindset about everything. And I can't believe people are running around with their hair on fire saying, here's how bad it's going to be when we do everything wrong, when
Yeah.
I know that we're going to solve this problem, but we've got to incorporate the younger generation to get it done.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. And really, truly love the um, not only the passion, but I want to ask you really practically before we wrap up here. Um, it doesn't sound like this is a profitable business for you. Is it a business venture for you, or is this a legacy project, or what? How do you think about this?
There are two ways to do it.
Yeah.
One is you give the book away and you sell a few. You still make money on the ones you sell.
Hmm.
Another is you give the book away, you sell a few, and then in every page in the book, you put a QR code. So we've got a install radiant barrier.
Hmm.
Well, I can see 3M putting their QR code right there. Well, what
Okay.
happens with the QR code is when the family clicks on that QR code, they get a discount. The
Hmm.
school gets a rebate, and we get a little bit of a thank you from the company.
Right.
So I see this as being a way to make a lot of money. When I did the juggling program, people said, oh, you're never going to make any money teaching juggling. Well, I made about $1 million a year teaching juggling. The
Wow.
reason is I sold juggling scarves, balls, rings, clubs, devil sticks, diablos, spinning plates, cigar boxes. I was the major manufacturer of recreational juggling equipment. When I sold the company, I sold the company for $1 million to a recreational equipment company called Sport Time. So there's no reason to not make money by doing good. You can do
Uh,
it, but you got to figure out how to do it. And so that's what I'm doing now, is trying to figure out all the different ways that we can make money. Sure, we could have a team of people who go school to school and ask the schools to support them out of their edutainment budget,
mhm,
because almost every school has an edutainment budget.
yeah.
But we could also say to the kids, okay, we're going to start a fund called the Green Book Fund, or Green Actioneers Family Action Book Fund.
Mhm,
And you take an envelope home, and on the envelope it says, "Dear parent or guardian,
mhm.
every time your child does something good for the environment, put a little green in this envelope.
Uh,
Then when we hold Green Actioneers Family Night, bring that envelope and put it in the hat. No
ah,
matter how much is in the envelope, you'll get a book." Well, that way, families will come in and they'll actually purchase books. So,
awesome.
excuse me, I have to.
All right, you're a popular guy. So, the last thing I want to ask you, I want to two things. One is you mentioned you're 82 now, so and that you're going to keep going on this for a long time. How long ago did you start this project?
Well,
Like,
I got trained by Al Gore in January 2007. And when he trained me, I decided that I had to shift gears. So I shifted from what I was doing, which was juggling for success, to a different program that I designed called Climate Changes Elementary. And Climate Changes Elementary used the same flow of the day as juggling for success. And I'd go into the school and spend the day and get everybody excited about climate change. But again, it was from the wrong point of view. It was from the point of view of here's the problem that we're facing,
right.
instead of here's the solution. And so that started in January 2007. I did that for 10 years, but I couldn't deliver the program in Florida or any other of the red states
Mhm,
because we had climate change in the title.
right,
And as soon as you say climate change, they go, no, no, we can't talk about that in our schools. Well,
right,
that's why I designed the Green Actioneers program, to not mention climate change. Let's
right.
not talk about it. That's the elephant in the room. Let's ignore the elephant and let's solve the problem.
Where there is a will, there is a way. There's so many things in what you've said. Like you've been talking about a school program, but really, so many of the components and the steps and the thinking can be applied in anything, any kind of enterprise, and any kind of social enterprise and nonprofit, and in our businesses. So I think it's been very helpful. And if people have been listening to not only what you do, but how and why you do it, then they can apply that to their own business as well. So thank you for being such an enthusiastic ambassador and for really tackling big problems and making great headway on it. It's really instructional. So I really, really appreciate the work you're doing, Dave. How can people find out more about you or connect with you?
Yeah, they can go to greenactioneers.com and just spell it properly. Green Action Ears, EERS.
Yeah,
No, not EARS.
that's
And then they'll find out there how they can get back in touch with us and how they can download a free copy of the Green Actioneers Family Action Guide.
I love that. That's great, great, great. And by the way, again, little instruction on the business note, you'll notice that not everything is just a straightforward transaction. He's got some really smart and clever ideas for how to monetize a free book. And so we can always think around other ways to do things and to approach them rather than just the straightforward sell a book for $20 and make a little bit of money, but it's a long, hard slog that way. So doing that joint venture approach of having affiliates in the book is again a really smart way of thinking about how to generate revenue differently. So congratulations on all the work you're doing and the impact it's making, the positive impact it's making. Uh, and I think I remember that when I looked at your site before, people can make donations as well. Is that true?
No, they can buy books, but
I can buy
the
books. Okay.
donation that I'm looking for is get in touch with me if you want me to send somebody to your school, or if you want to be the school where it started, because we need that video of a school that's enthusiastic and does a good job.
Awesome. 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 All right. Thank you so much for being here, Dave. In just a moment, I'll ask you what your final thoughts are for us to wrap up. Before I do that, actually, I do have one more question for you. If there's someone out there that's listening to this who's in their 60s, maybe 70s, maybe 80s, and they're thinking, I'm done. But there's I'm too old to get started again. What would you tell them?
First thing is, uh, get in touch with me and I'll deputize you to go to schools and start programs. Because if a grandmotherly person comes into the school and talks to the kids, they'll listen.
Okay.
Or you can go to the nearest high school and recruit high school kids to go with you. Because if high school kids come in and tell the elementary kids what to do, they'll do it in a flash.
Right.
So that's my advice is get active, stay active physically, mentally, and you'll find that there's plenty of things to do. I've never had a boring day.
Uh, I don't doubt that. All right, that's a great piece of advice to wrap up on, Dave. And thank you so much for being here and the difference that you're making in the world. I really appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening to this, I hope what you've heard is a real strong encouragement that A, it's never too late. B, you can literally impact the globe by starting with that one person that you're talking to and then having it ripple out. And three, it's never too late to let your passions make a difference in the world. So thank you so much for being here, Dave, and for being this encouraging person on the planet. Really, really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, have a bodacious week, and let's see what one green action you can take this week. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.